Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta, and there has been lots of news, lots of buzz when it comes to weather this week around. It has been about the monsoon, which is finally making an onset on the 1st of June, is what IMD says. The dates differ when you talk to IBM, the weather company, or the SkyMet, and we will discuss all of those vagaries right now. But apart from that, it also is about the locusts, which have been really impacting 7 states in India, the worst in last 26 years. We also have seen cyclones going by in the previous week, and it also has been a very severe heat wave that we've seen in the northern part of India, in Delhi and in Rajasthan, where we saw the temperatures touching 47 to 50 degrees on the higher side as well. And amidst all of this, even as it is a lockdown, we have seen agriculture as the only sector which has seen growth continuing in the previous quarter. And the expectations are that we will find a prominent place now in the GDP numbers there as well. Well, the food grain production is also expected to be at record highs as per the latest government data, at around 295.6 million tons for the year 2019-2020. And even as we are looking at a stronger monsoon, good water reservoirs, and a lot of reforms and packages that the government has put out, the farmers do say that they needed immediate relief, and that has not come. Even as the agriculture has been open as an essential services, the farmers have not been able to get their cost of production even. That is a survey that has come in, and that tells you that farmers as a sector is not really happy right now. We will discuss all of that. Joining us are our guests, Jatin Singh, CEO of SkyMet. We have with us Himanshu Goyal of the weather company IBM. Siraj Chaudhary is MD and CEO and CML. But let's talk about the weather first. And Jatin, what is your sense? Because you have been talking about on how the onset could be earlier. The IMD's date was 5th of June, which they have now changed to 1st of June. What is leading to an early or timely onset as we see it? And what's your sense on the progress further?
I think the synoptic conditions were strong, and we had an indication about 2 weeks ago. We said 28 plus minus 2. More or less, most of the conditions are fulfilled. We are waiting for some data. By tomorrow evening, I think we'll be declaring that the monsoon has made it to Kerala. It's rain, the winds are fine. And there's a low pressure that is going to push itself up. So Bombay will start raining pre-monsoon on the 1st. And a pretty, one of those solid Bombay showers that we expect on the 3rd going into Gujarat. So monsoon is on time and monsoon is strong, and at least the first fortnight you have circulations coming up, and after that dies down, you can already see the Bay of Bengal revving up. You're getting into a somewhat La Nina-ish phase, so all seems to be good with the monsoon.
All right, Himanshu, what is your sense? Because your date also was in the first week of June. Are you also preponing it? Do you see the onset of the monsoon earlier than normal?
So thanks, Manisha, for having me. So we are still sticking on the date of 4th. And what we see as of now is these early showers because of a low pressure area developing around Lakshadweep coming towards Kerala. So it's essentially for, IMD to really sort of declare what is the date of monsoon, but this is a local phenomena as we see, of course, arriving from Arabian Sea. But the onset date for us is 4th, and thereafter, as we've been discussing, we see some erratic rains in the beginning, but the monsoon is 102%. The volume of water will be adequate for Kharif. And there is some sense of local low pressure in Arabian Sea also moving northwards. So all our ensemble models do not tell us exactly where the threat is going to be, whether it will be towards Gujarat or Mumbai or towards Oman. That's something under watch. So we're pretty much around 4th for monsoon onset and a good monsoon.
A good monsoon, erratic rains, but sticking on to the higher monsoon or above normal or near normal monsoon is what we've seen as numbers coming in. Jatin, going forward, how does it look to you? Because we've just gone through a locust attack scare and the worst in 26 years. And the feeling has been if it doesn't go away in time, the Kharif could be delayed. But with the monsoons as a big positive news that we've seen come in this week, how are you looking at the distribution of this? Because Rabi clearly did not go so well for the farmers, even as the produce was available. There still are reports suggesting that nearly 10% farmers could not even harvest or sell their produce. There also is a survey which says that 60% of farmers who harvested reported yield losses there, and 56 farmers actually are reporting difficulty preparing for upcoming sowing season. You know, to all of their minds, the monsoon would be a major factor, because the farmer in any sense would ensure that they have all the facilities, all the inputs, depending on what monsoon really is going to be for them. How are you looking at then the months of June and July? There have been initial reports saying that June perhaps is not going to be very rainy.
You see, this is one of the better situations. You have a mild La Nina that is on, and it should be stable. Also, the picture from in agriculture is a little complex. You see, you've got a record uptake of fertilizer and seeds, fertilizers, and now seeds also. If you talk to any seed company, say, you know, it's going off the charts. The government has come in and done massive procurement, and then some cash has gone into the system. You've got, you know, the KCC thing being more aggressive, and you're going to see a significant footfall and uptake. Agriculture is an essential service. So apart from 15 days after the lockdown was announced, agriculture has been let loose, and all the transport and a lot of those issues have been sorted out. You're also coming in from a year last year, which was 110%. And that means, and you've got a pretty decent pre-monsoon going on. And that means there is a lot of moisture. You know, we've been talking for years. A lot more times than not, you've gone in with your reservoir levels being limited. Your reservoir levels are absolutely fine. Your onset is going to be good. I think you're looking, and you're coming in from a pretty decent Rabi. So I think all is good. Obviously, you know, we're looking at a spoiler for locusts, and locusts do need moisture to grow. But I think the government is doing more. Right now, because it was an intra-seasonal, so there's not much crop, so the damage is somewhat limited. And I think the government is doing a lot for you know, from drones to pesticides. A lot of chemicals, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, are being made available, or those have been delisted, have been listed again. So if you're able to manage the locust issue, and if the projections continue to be what they're supposed to, there are more chances of this monsoon succeeding, and at least from a produce level being good than not going into Kharif 2020.
Mr. Chaudhary, I want to include you in the conversation as well. And even as the monsoons are good, and as Jatin said, the reservoir levels are also on the positive side. The rains are expected to be good as well. But even then, when you look at the Indian agriculture sector, and even as this was open as an essential services all throughout during the lockdown, the farmers as a lot are not a very happy lot. Even as we've seen agriculture get some mention in the financial package that the finance minister also announced, immediate relief that perhaps the sector was looking at did not really arrive.
Yes, Manisha. Agriculture actually, in fact, at the moment, the present Rabi scenario, I would see it in two parts. There is the good part, which is, I think the government and various state governments moved very quickly to align themselves and set themselves up, despite the COVID restrictions, to have a great performance on procurement. So which is, whether it's Punjab, Haryana, or MP, they've had a great performance on procurement, and today, as we reach the end of May, I think the procurement is pretty much the same as what we had done last year. There have been some states which have lagged, but by and large, the procurement has been good, and that should have been a reason for a large part of the farmers to be very happy. And I would add to that the procurement which NAFED has done for pulses and chana and mustard, and that also would have gladdened the farmers who were participating in that procurement. That is the good side. The negative side, and which is where the farmers are probably suffering, is that part of the country where the government procurement is not there. And the reality is that there has been a demand compression. Every crop feeds into some product or some end product which goes to the consumer. So if it is about wheat, then it is about biscuits and noodles and everything else in the food processing industry. that entails consumes wheat, and the private procurement has actually been lower. And I say that because we are a warehousing company, and we actually see a lot of large food companies giving up warehousing space, which somewhere means that they are probably foreseeing lower stocking, which is linked to their lower consumption demand. So that is one. If I look at maize, which goes largely into poultry and not just the food part, but then it's also a starch which goes into textiles and paper and everything, that has seen a significant drop in prices. I mean, today in Bihar, the maize prices are trading significantly below the minimum support price. Another crop which has mustard, of course, is trading below support price. There is barley, which goes into beer manufacturing, and given that we've had a season which has been washed out for the beer industry. So, and even when you look at the fresh fruits and vegetables, I mean, there's a large section that is consumed by the horeca or the hotel and the out-of-home consumption, which has not happened. So wherever the consumption has been compressed, and the farmers which are serving the needs of those sectors are actually suffering. Another limitation has been the lack of working capital, because all the big players or small players are suffering from capital deficiency. So they are not building stocks. So as a result, the farmer has become commodities has become the carrier of the stocks also, and is actually carrying the working capital burden of those crops. So that farmer is actually suffering.
It sure is the case. Yes, even as the monsoon has been a bearer of good news here, we are still awaiting, of course, the first showers. But agriculture as a sector seems good, but within that, the farmer doesn't. And that really seems to be an issue right now into this one. But with that, we'll take a very short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the road ahead, expectations, and how is the next 4 months really panning out. We'll talk all about that.